All right, so I got a C4500. It's an 06 LBZ. I wanted to show you a simple thing that you really need to not overlook when you're working on these for a fuel rail pressure issue. So the issue I had was I'd fire this thing up and it sounded really clattery and rattly, really bad. And it sounds to me, of course, like over fuel injection or over pressure on the fuel pressure rail. Max rail pressure on these rails is 26,000 PSI, I think, on the LBZ Duramaxes. And I plugged in the scanner here and I fired it up and it said 0 PSI of pressure at all times, which is not correct, right? So what I ended up doing was I came down here, I took this little heat shield off. There's your fuel rail pressure sensor on the back of the fuel rail on the passenger side. It's a 3-pin flat to a 4-pin square, right? So if you go over here, here's something for reference for you. You're gonna have 1, 2, 3 if you're looking at the plug. So you unplug it, look at it, 1, 2, 3. 1 is white, low reference, which is a ground signal from the ECM. 2 is a orange black, which is signal, which means that's actually number 2 coming back to the ECM. And then dark blue 3, which is a 5-volt reference coming from the ECM to the sensor, okay? So the color coding here is different than it is at the 4 square. So for example, let's see if I can get this light here. You have a 3 flat, and if I can see the colors from here, you've got a blue. Oof. There you go. You got a blue, a orange black, and a white or a tan, right? And then up here you have a orange. Ugh, come on. There you go. You have a orange, a white, and a blue, and then it switches a little bit. The orange black. Orange black is over here, and then on the other side it's a yellow. So it switches from yellow to orange black to white, and a tan on the bottom to a blue. Blue is your 5-volt reference power. So on this side, you've got yellow is on top right there. This is your signal back to the ECM. Orange black is your 5-volt reference ground, or your reference ground. And this bottom white or tan is your 5-volt reference, as seen in my papers that are flying away. As you can see here, this is the square connector. If you wanted to look at this guy right here, try to be careful. You have your fuel rail pressure sensor, pins 1, 2, and 4. That's on the square. It's supposed to be, pin 1, 2, and 3 on the fuel rail pressure sensor. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, and 4. 3 is empty on the square connector. Then it goes harness. C3 is the bail connector, the big bail lever lock connector on the driver's side valve cover. And then this is the ECM plug. Pins 39, tan, 92, yellow, 30, orange black is your low reference. So if you come here, what I ended up doing was I cut these off and I just went direct because I thought it was a harness issue. So I bypassed them, and these are your 3 wires. Like I said, you've got tan, yellow, orange, black. There's 2 orange blacks next to each other. You just got to make sure you have the right one. So I cut those and I used a jumper all the way around to here, and I had a weird issue. I had, with a voltmeter, the 5-volt reference. So you have 3 wires. You have 5-volt reference, 5-volt reference, signal out, and then ground, okay? I went ground to the block, disconnected signal out to the ECM, and I had 5-volt reference in. The problem is, when I connected these two to the sensor, this 5-volt dropped to 2.1, 2.2 volts. So I knew there was a problem here. Took me forever. I made a bunch of phone calls. I called my experts. We do a ton of Chevy work. And what I ended up finding which was my guy Craig at CRS Automotive, said, hey, go here and look in here. And would you look at that? Somebody did a power steering pump on this thing and pinched the wire harness for the oil pressure switch. So when that happens, you go up here and you unplug the blue sensor that runs up behind these front accessories. The reason is somebody took all this stuff off to do a CP3, and when they put that back, they crushed that harness. And instead of, and here's even the stupid part, right? They tried to put, let me see if I can get this. They tried, it's not gonna work. They tried to put the bolts back in that power steering pump right here, and they couldn't because the bolt wouldn't go through because of the harness, but they just left the bolt out and said, ah, fuck it, right? Well, this is what happens. So what I ended up doing was I unplugged that blue harness, fired up the scanner, turned the key, and all the pressure reads correctly. And man, was that a fucking nightmare. But now you know, if you've got 0 PSI on there, pinching that oil pressure switch wire harness can short out or damage the signal in the ECM and cause it to do weird shit. The problem I had initially was the yellow wire is supposed to be returned from sensor into ECM, but I cut it and measured it, and it's actually pushing 5 volts out of the ECM, which is ass backwards. It's not supposed to do that. That's what really threw this all for a loop. We got it all done. We got it all fixed. I actually came in as a consultant, and that's what it took, was fixing that. So there you go, guys. Don't crush your oil pressure switch harness.